What if I told you that there's a specific phrase, just three simple words, that could completely transform the way your subconscious mind processes reality, and that the reason you've never heard about it before is because those who use it successfully understand one fundamental rule: you must never ever share it with another living soul. I know that sounds almost impossible to believe. In a world where we're encouraged to share everything, our dreams, our goals, our manifestation practices, the idea that silence could be the most powerful ingredient in creating your reality seems counterintuitive. But stay with me here, because what you're about to discover has nothing to do with superstition or magical thinking. This is about understanding how your subconscious mind actually works, and why the moment you speak certain intentions out loud to others, you essentially drain them of their creative power. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world, and if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, let me ask you something personal. Has this ever happened to you? You get excited about a goal, a dream, maybe a financial breakthrough you're working toward, and you share it with someone close to you, a friend, a family member, someone you trust, and almost immediately, you feel that initial surge of excitement start to deflate. Maybe they say something skeptical or give you that look that says, "Be realistic," or they share a story about why it didn't work for someone else. And suddenly, what felt so possible just moments before now feels heavy, doubtful, uncertain. That's not a coincidence. And it's not just about surrounding yourself with more positive people, though that helps. There's something far deeper happening in those moments, something that Joseph Murphy spent decades researching and teaching about the nature of consciousness and how easily our assumptions can be contaminated by the beliefs of others. Here's what most people don't understand about manifestation. Your subconscious mind is incredibly suggestible, but not in the way you might think. It doesn't just accept what you tell it during your morning affirmations or visualization practices. It's constantly absorbing information from every conversation, every reaction, every subtle energy exchange you have with other people. And when you share a sacred intention, especially one that hasn't yet hardened into unshakable conviction within you, you're essentially opening the door for other people's limitations, doubts, and fears to enter your consciousness. The three words I'm about to share with you operate on a completely different principle. They work because they shift you from a state of wanting, hoping, or wishing into a state of completion. And when you understand why you must keep them silent, you'll realize that this isn't about being secretive or mysterious. It's about protecting the most delicate and powerful moment in the manifestation process, the moment when possibility becomes assumption, and assumption begins its inevitable journey toward becoming fact. What you're about to discover might surprise you, because it goes against almost everything you've been taught about goal setting and manifestation. But if you can suspend your skepticism for just a few more minutes and really hear what I'm saying, let me share something with you that might challenge everything you think you know about how reality actually works. There's a documented case of a woman who was completely broke, drowning in debt with no clear path forward. She came across this three-word technique and decided to apply it with absolute precision. But here's what makes this story different from every other manifestation tale you've heard. She didn't just manifest money or abundance or some vague concept of wealth. She chose a specific number, $112 million. Not a range, not approximately that amount, the exact figure down to the last cent. Now, before you roll your eyes and think this is just another magical thinking story where someone got lucky, let me stop you right there. This woman didn't win the lottery by accident. She didn't just buy a ticket and hope for the best. What she did was engage in a very Specific process every single night for 4 months, using these 3 words in a way that literally reprogrammed her subconscious mind to accept that outcome as an already accomplished fact. And here's the part that makes skeptics uncomfortable. She won exactly $112 million. Not close, not in the ballpark, exact. If this content is speaking to you on a level that goes beyond surface understanding, hit that subscribe button. This channel is dedicated to diving deep into the real mechanics of consciousness, manifestation, and transformation. No fluff, just principles that actually work. The reason I'm telling you this isn't to convince you that you should go buy lottery tickets. That's missing the entire point. What this story reveals is something far more profound about the hidden mechanics of consciousness and how your brain processes assumption versus desire. You see, most people approach their goals from a place of wanting, which by definition means you're operating from a state of lack. Your subconscious registers that you don't have it, which keeps you in a perpetual loop of chasing rather than receiving. But when you understand the real psychology behind this technique, and yes, there is actual neuroscience that explains why this works, you realize that your subconscious mind cannot tell the difference between something vividly imagined with emotion and something actually experienced. Brain imaging studies have shown this repeatedly. When you assume something is already done, when you claim it as a present fact rather than a future possibility, you're activating the same neural pathways as if it had already happened. This isn't about quantum mysticism or abstract spirituality, though those frameworks can help explain it. This is about understanding how your mind constructs reality from the inside out. The transformation that happens when you shift from hoping to assuming is immediate and measurable. Your decisions change. Your energy changes. The impact you have on the situations and people around you shifts because you're operating from a completely different state of consciousness. And here's the revelation that most people never grasp. The journey from where you are to where you want to be doesn't require you to figure out all the steps. It requires you to claim the end state with such conviction that the path reveals itself automatically. Now, I want to go even deeper into this, because understanding why you must keep these 3 words silent is just as important as knowing what they are. Write in the comments, "I'm ready to assume it," if this is resonating with you so far. Here's what makes this technique so powerful and why understanding its origins matters. Joseph Murphy spent over 4 decades researching the mechanics of the subconscious mind, working directly with thousands of individuals who were facing seemingly impossible situations. He wasn't sitting in an ivory tower theorizing about consciousness. He was in the trenches, documenting actual case after case of people who completely transformed their financial situations, their health, their relationships, all by applying one fundamental principle that most people still don't grasp today. Murphy discovered something that goes against everything we're taught about how change happens. We're conditioned to believe that external circumstances create our internal state, that we feel happy because good things happen, or we feel anxious because our situation is difficult. But what Murphy observed over and over again was the exact opposite. Your internal state, specifically the assumptions you hold in your subconscious mind, is what creates your external circumstances. Not sometimes, always. Think about that for a moment. Everything you're experiencing right now in your physical reality, your bank account, your relationships, your health, your opportunities, all of it is a perfect reflection of what your subconscious mind has accepted as true about you and your life. This isn't metaphorical. Your imagination, when directed with precision and feeling, is literally the most powerful creative force you possess. It's the hidden truth behind every major breakthrough, every unexpected success, every time someone defied the odds and achieved something that seemed statistically impossible. But here's where most people get stuck. They try to use their imagination like a wish list, hoping and visualizing and affirming, yet still operating from a mindset of not having. The impact of this is devastating because your subconscious doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you assume is already true. When you're hoping for something, you're reinforcing the fact that you don't have it. When you're wishing for a different reality, you're confirming your current one. This is why those three words work. They don't leave room for doubt or future tense. They claim completion, present tense, done. And when you claim something as already accomplished in consciousness, your subconscious mind has no choice but to accept it and begin the process of externalizing that assumption into your physical experience. The journey from internal assumption to external manifestation isn't about making things happen through force or effort. It's about allowing what you've already claimed in consciousness to unfold naturally. Murphy proved this principle through documented case studies, not just inspiring stories. People who were facing bankruptcy and within weeks found unexpected solutions. Individuals diagnosed with supposedly incurable conditions who experience complete recoveries. Relationships that seemed beyond repair that transformed overnight. The common thread in every single case was this. They shifted from wanting to having, from hoping to knowing, from future possibility to present fact. The transformation happens in consciousness first, and the external world has no choice but to conform to that inner conviction. And the reason silence is essential in this process is because the moment you speak your assumption to someone operating from a different state of consciousness, you invite their limitations into your creative process. Write in the comments, "It is done," if you're understanding how this works on a deeper level now. The reason this principle feels so radical is because we've been programmed to believe the opposite our entire lives. We're taught that reality is fixed, that circumstances dictate our experience, that we need to react to what's happening around us. But what if everything you've been taught about cause and effect is backwards? What if the external world isn't creating your internal experience, but rather your internal assumptions are projecting outward and creating what you experience as reality? This isn't some abstract philosophical concept. This is the mechanics of how consciousness actually operates. Your imagination isn't just daydreaming or fantasy. When properly directed with feeling and conviction, your imagination is the architect of your reality. Every single thing that exists in the physical world was first imagined by someone. Every building, every invention, every breakthrough started as an internal image before it became an external fact. The same principle applies to your personal reality. Change your inner world, the assumptions you hold about yourself, your worthiness, your possibilities, and the outer world has no choice but to reorganize itself to match. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is the behind-the-scenes revelation that most people never discover. There was a specific technique that teachers of consciousness would only share with their most dedicated students. Not because they wanted to hoard knowledge or create some elite club, but because they understood something crucial about how this process works. Sacred knowledge requires protection, not from the world, but from contamination. When you're working with consciousness at this level, when you're attempting to shift from one state of being to another, you're in the most vulnerable part of the journey. Your new assumption hasn't hardened into conviction yet. It's tender, malleable, easily influenced. And the moment you share it with someone who operates from limitation, doubt, or fear, even if they love you and mean well, you're inviting their consciousness to interfere with yours. Their skepticism, their past failures, their beliefs about what's possible and impossible, all of that enters your mental space and weakens your assumption. This is why the three-word technique was taught privately. It wasn't about gatekeeping power. It was about understanding that the transformation you're attempting to create happens in silence first. The impact of speaking your assumption prematurely is that you dilute its creative force. You turn something that should be developing in the dark, protected space of your own consciousness into something that's now being questioned, analyzed, and doubted by minds that don't understand the principle you're applying. Most people fail at manifestation not because the technique doesn't work, but because they can't keep the secret. They get excited, they share their dream, and they immediately feel the energy drain from it. That's not psychological. That's actual creative force being dispersed. Your decisions moving forward will be influenced not just by your own conviction, but by every doubt that was planted in your mind through well-meaning conversations with people who simply don't operate from the same understanding of consciousness that you're now learning. If you're starting to see why silence is just as important as the words themselves, write in the comments, "I protect my assumption." So let me give you the 3 words now, because everything I've been building up to this point has been preparing you to receive them correctly. The 3 words are "it is done." Simple, right? Almost too simple. And that's exactly why most people will hear them and completely miss the profound shift in consciousness they represent. The power isn't in the words themselves. Anyone can say, "it is done," and nothing changes. The power is in the state of being you occupy when you say them, the conviction behind them, the absolute certainty that what you're claiming has already been accomplished in the realm where all creation originates. Think about the difference between these 2 statements. "I hope I get the promotion" versus "it is done, I have the promotion." The first one is a wish, a desire, a future possibility that may or may not happen. It keeps you in a state of waiting, hoping, wanting. The second one is a declaration of fact. There's no question mark at the end. There's no room for doubt. It's claiming the end result as an already accomplished reality. And here's the hidden truth that changes everything. Your subconscious mind responds to conviction, not desire. It moves toward what you assume is true, not what you hope might be true. When you say, "it is done," you're making a very specific decision at the level of consciousness. You're choosing to operate from the end, from completion, from having already achieved what you desire. This isn't pretending. This isn't fake it till you make it positive thinking. This is understanding that in consciousness, everything exists simultaneously. Past, present, and future are human constructs to help us navigate linear time. But at the level of infinite consciousness, the version of you that already has what you desire exists right now. And when you say, "it is done," you're claiming that version of yourself as your present reality. The transformation that happens in your entire energy system is immediate. You're no longer vibrating at the frequency of wanting, which is actually a frequency of lack. You're vibrating at the frequency of having, of completion, of gratitude for what already is. The impact this has on your decisions, your behavior, your opportunities, even the way other people respond to you, is profound. You start showing up differently because you're operating from a different assumption about who you are and what's available to you. Most people go through life in a constant state of hoping and wishing. They affirm what they want, while simultaneously reinforcing that they don't have it. But when you understand how to use these 3 words correctly, you're bypassing the entire journey of doubt and uncertainty. You're claiming the destination as your current location. And your subconscious, which cannot distinguish between a vividly imagined reality and a physically experienced one, begins to reorganize your entire life around this new assumption. The revelations about how reality actually works start to become clear once you experience this shift for yourself. If you're grasping why "it is done" is fundamentally different from affirmations or positive thinking, write in the comments, "I claim it now." Here's something that will help you understand the state of consciousness you're aiming for. Think about something in your life that's already done, already accomplished. Maybe it's your college degree, or the fact that you live in your current home, or that you're in a relationship with someone. Notice how you feel when you think about these things. There's no anxiety, right? No desperation, no begging the universe, no constantly checking to see if it's happening. There's just calm certainty. You don't wake up every morning hoping you still have your degree or worrying that your house might disappear. It's done, it's settled, it's a fact of your reality. That's the exact frequency you're tuning into when you use these 3 words correctly. You're not generating the energy of wanting or needing. You're embodying the energy of having. And the difference between those 2 states is everything. When you want something, you're broadcasting to your subconscious and to the field around you that you're in lack. When you claim something as already done, you're broadcasting completion, fulfillment, gratitude. The transformation in your entire being is instantaneous because you're no longer chasing. You're receiving what's already yours. Now let me take you even deeper into why this works on a level that most people never consider. Time itself is a construct we created to make sense of linear experience. We experience one moment after another, cause followed by effect, today leading into tomorrow. But at the level of infinite consciousness, at the quantum field where all possibilities exist, there is no past, present, or future. Everything that could ever happen is happening right now, simultaneously. The version of you that's struggling financially and the version of you that's abundant both exist in the eternal now. The you that's single and the you that's in your ideal relationship coexist in the same infinite field of potential. When you say it is done, you're not creating something from nothing. You're selecting which version of reality you're going to experience. You're collapsing the quantum wave of possibility into a specific outcome. The hidden truth behind manifestation isn't that you're making things happen through some mystical force. You're choosing which already existing reality you're going to occupy with your consciousness. And consciousness always externalizes what it occupies internally. The journey from internal assumption to external experience isn't about waiting for time to pass. It's about maintaining the conviction that what you've claimed in consciousness is already real, and allowing the physical world to catch up to your inner knowing. This is why anxiety and desperation are such clear indicators that you're not operating from the right state. When something is truly done, there's peace, there's knowing. The impact of maintaining that state of completion, regardless of what your current circumstances look like, is that you're giving your subconscious clear instructions about which reality to manifest. If this is clicking for you on a level that goes beyond intellectual understanding, write in the comments, "I choose my reality now." The brilliance of this technique is in how it communicates with your subconscious mind. Your subconscious doesn't have the ability to argue with a statement of fact. When you say, "It is done," you're not presenting it with a wish that it can debate or a hope that it can dismiss. You're giving it a command disguised as a completed reality, and your subconscious, which controls 95% of your thoughts, behaviors, and decisions, immediately begins the process of aligning your external experience with this internal declaration. It doesn't question whether it's possible. It simply accepts the instruction and starts reorganizing your reality to match. This is why specificity matters so much in this process. Remember that woman I mentioned earlier who was completely broke and drowning in debt? She didn't just say, "I want to be wealthy" or "I need money." She chose an exact number, $112 million. That wasn't pulled out of thin air. She sat down and calculated precisely what it would take to live the life she truly desired and to help everyone in her family. The specificity wasn't about being greedy or unrealistic. It was about giving her subconscious a clear, definite target to work toward. When you're vague with your desires, your subconscious gets confused. It doesn't know which version of success you're claiming, which level of abundance you're assuming. But when you're specific, when you claim an exact outcome with precision and clarity, your subconscious has clear marching orders. The transformation happens faster because there's no ambiguity. Your decisions start aligning with that specific reality. The impact on your behavior becomes measurable. You're not hoping for better anymore. You're claiming a defined result. And here's what most people miss. Being specific doesn't limit you. It focuses you. It takes all that scattered energy of wanting lots of different things and channels it into one clear intention. When that woman said, "It is done, I have $112 million," she wasn't wishing or fantasizing. She was occupying the consciousness of someone who already had that exact amount. Every night she would feel what it felt like to have achieved that specific goal, not someday, now, already done. The hidden truth is that your subconscious doesn't care if your goal seems impossible to your logical mind. It only cares about what you've impressed upon it with feeling and repetition. When you combine the declaration, "It is done," with a specific, clear image of what done looks like, you're giving your subconscious the blueprint it needs to manifest that reality. This journey from internal assumption to external manifestation begins with this level of clarity and conviction. If you're understanding why vague desires create vague results, write in the comments, "I claim my specific reality." What made her success inevitable wasn't just saying the 3 words. It was what she did with absolute consistency every single night for 4 months. And this is where most people abandon the process, because consistency requires commitment when nothing in your physical reality is reflecting what you're claiming in consciousness. But she understood something profound. The work happens in the invisible realm first, and only after it's established there does it show up in the visible world. Every night, she would do something very specific. She wouldn't visualize the process of buying a lottery ticket or imagine checking the numbers. She went straight to the end. She imagined the exact moment of discovering that she had won $112 million. Not the journey toward it, the moment of completion, the moment of "it is done" made manifest. And here's the crucial part that separates this from passive daydreaming. She didn't just see it in her mind like watching a movie. She felt it, the shock, the disbelief, the overwhelming joy that would flood through her body in that moment. This is the hidden mechanics of how consciousness creates reality. Your subconscious mind doesn't respond to images alone. It responds to feeling. Emotion is the language your subconscious understands. When you combine a clear image with authentic feeling, you're not just thinking about your desire anymore. You're experiencing it. You're living in it. And your subconscious cannot tell the difference between something vividly felt in imagination and something physically experienced. To your subconscious, if you're feeling it now, it's happening now. She made that moment of discovery so real in her mind that her body would respond as if it were actually happening. Her heart would race. She'd feel that surge of electricity through her entire system. She'd imagine who she would call first, what words she would say, how her voice would sound breaking the news. Full sensory detail, complete immersion. The transformation wasn't happening in some distant future. It was happening every single night in her consciousness, which meant it was already done at the level where all creation originates. This is what it means to live in the end. You're not living in the wish or the hope or the someday. You're occupying the consciousness of someone for whom it's already accomplished. The impact this has on your entire energy system is that you stop emitting the frequency of lack and start emitting the frequency of fulfillment. And whatever frequency you're consistently broadcasting is what reality will reflect back to you. The journey from internal conviction to external manifestation requires you to feel the reality of your desire before you see it, which is exactly the opposite of how most people approach their goals. If you're seeing why feeling is more important than just visualizing, write in the comments, "I feel it done." Now let me reveal the second part of what she did every night. And this is where the real magic happens. Right before drifting off to sleep,